Hello, my Teaserking family. How's everybody today? So, waking up, I saw silver at 3605 and I saw gold at 3400. And now I don't see it there anymore, but we did get 3605 on silver, which is always a good thing. And then they're slowly pulling it back down. All right, so we've got gold is 33.61. The US is knocking it down at 10. So we had a really big run from Europe from roughly 2 in the morning till about 7:30, and it shot up to, you can see this is gold over 3,400. And then it's been slowly dropping. Again, this is just a derivative play. So they're buying the option and then they lift the option up, and then the US comes in and can short it at 3402. And now it's down to 33.64. So it's coming back a little. I would think it'd come back. I'd like to see it stick at 34, and that would be good. And then let's look at silver. So silver, as you can see, did the same chart, no surprise. And it got up to there, right there at 30. It broke 36 at 8:30. And then it's slowly coming down. It's 35.72, which is fine. It's still huge. Big day in Europe. So I don't know what Europe's doing and then why the US isn't following it up. Again, they're still playing option games where they don't, but we'll keep an eye on it. But the fact it hit 36 is a great sign. 1 second. Got the pita on the oven. So it's a great sign that it finally hit 36 because they're trying to contain it so they don't go broke. But as we're seeing, 35.74, gold's creeping back to 33.64. Gold we've already seen at 3,500, so it's working its way back. But you won't see these huge drops like we saw that one day when it went up like $100 to 35. That was when there was a holiday, so there was no fighting back. It was just one way. And here there's the pushback. I'll buy, I'll sell, bullshit. But silver 35.74. I'm ready to run out and go buy another 20 ounces just on because we've hit 35. I mean, now we've hit 36. I don't know. I don't know how much left the bank has, but they're definitely going to go out. And anyway, so good news. Let's look at our baseball. We have basketball tonight. We'll check for football. And then we have a sauna story to tell you, as well as the whole BRICS thing and the whole dollar going out. And when I say the dollar's out, nobody believes me. I'm like, well, they think it's an opinion. It's not. It's reality. That's what's happened. But the news will never tell you because they're always worried about panics. What do we see in every movie? Oh, we don't want the public to panic. We want them all to go broke, but we don't want them to panic. All right, let's check our baseball. All right. So we start off with Boston over 10. Well, Colorado won the series with Miami, but they started at like 12 o'clock yesterday. Milwaukee, Cincinnati. Milwaukee wins 9-1. So these were both like noon games for some reason. Boston over 10.5. They win 11-9. That was played beautifully. I've also updated all our stats as far as how many hitters are good and bad. So I had a busy night. Pitt wins 3-0. Where was this for Scanes? But Mike Burrows gets the win, and Ryan Gusto 3-3 with the 4.78 gets the loss. I had Houston over 9, which I don't know what. Pitt's not a. See, this is a confusing one. The pitchers had high ERAs. The total was 9, and I thought Houston could hit. I know Pitt can't, so I'm a little surprised they got shut out here when Scanes didn't shut them out. I have the Cubs under 8.5. Washington wins 2-0. That's why I do it, because we don't care who wins, just don't score, and that's what we got here. Washington won. We would have taken the Cubs. Boyd with a 301 and Mackenzie Gore with a 287. So it should be a low scoring game, and it was. So under 8.5. The Yankees under 9. They lose 4-0. What's going on with the Yankees? You got Aaron Judge hitting 390 and you can't score. Philadelphia under 9. Toronto wins 2-1. Bryce Harper is playing, and I'm going to get my pita, and then I'll be done with it. Sorry about that, but you got to turn it over. You got to cook. You got to cook both sides. All right. So Toronto wins 2-1, but Bryce Harper is back. Good pitching by Soriano, I think, for Toronto. But a good game. Arizona 2, Atlanta 1. This was our only play yesterday. One bet, one play. Atlanta under 7.5 because of Chris Sale, and they lose 2-1. Sale 3 and 4 with a 2.93, and Merrill Kelly 6 and 2 with a 3.43. It was a perfect. That's why it was the bet. Two good pitchers, and this is what you would expect: 2-1. Even though there's boatloads of hitting on both teams, a good pitcher you're not going to hit. So that was our one. We go 1-0 in our bets yesterday. Tampa 5, Texas 4. We had Tampa Bay. That's the winner. KC under 8 was postponed. We have Detroit over 8. They won 5-4. Chicago playing them tough. It was 4-0. Chicago started some nobody. The Tigers got 4 runs. That was it. And then Chicago battled back and made it 4-4. And I like into the 7th, so I don't know when Detroit won. Probably in the 9th inning. I noticed they're a bitch to get out in the 9th inning. Where are they in the rest of the innings? I don't know. But anyway, so Detroit wins 5-4. I had them over 8. Baltimore 3, Seattle 2. I have over 8. I lose. Baltimore can't hit. Seattle is not bad. Let's see my new stats. I'll go through my new stats. Baltimore, they got 4 hitters now, and Seattle's got 4 hitters. So, yeah, with these pitchers, over 8.5, I thought I could do. San Diego under 7 because they've been playing 1-0 games with Frisco, and Frisco wins 6-5. Minnesota over 10, they win 6-1, and the Dodgers over 9. The Mets beat them 6-1. So a bad evening, but we hit the one that we had to hit, which is Atlanta. That's why I don't play them all. There's only, I'm shocked the Dodgers got 1 run. Really surprising there, but I mean they're not the best team in the National League. I think it's the Mets now or Philly. So everybody thinks the Dodgers. The Shotani guy is only hitting 270. He had a big year, and everybody thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. No, he's an average player. The fact that he pitches and plays the outfielder DH, they should not have paid him $70 million. That's going to come back to haunt him. That was stupid. He's still one player. You either put Babe Ruth in right field or you let him pitch. You don't do both. And if Babe Ruth couldn't do it, I don't think this Shotani can. Is it because he's Japanese? Oh, okay. I mean, it's a joke. I mean, how good a pitcher is he? I don't know. But if he's, Babe Ruth was a great pitcher. But when you can hit 700 home runs, it's probably more valuable hitting. So I don't know. But I noticed he doesn't play much. He's usually the DH for some reason. I got these avocados at Walmart like a week ago. They're still hard. Anyway. So let's check streaks here before we get. So let's go to standings, and it'll tell us streaks. All right, so the Yankees, Tampa, and Toronto are 7-3 the last 10. Boston's 3-7. A lot of it is who they play. Baltimore is actually 8-2, even though you don't think they're very good. They're 24-36, but they're 8-2 the last 10. That's all we care about. Detroit's 8-2 their last 10, and the White Sox are 2-8. So you would have thought Detroit would have won yesterday, although you would have thought they would have won the other day. And Oakland is now 1-9 their last 10. So we're bet against Oakland today. Whoever they play. Houston's 7-3. A lot of teams 3-7, 4-6, 5-5. There's nothing, you can't do anything about them. National League. The Mets are 39-23. They're 8-2, and Atlanta and Miami are 3-7. Miami's really stinking up the joint. Cubs are 7-3. Milwaukee's 9-1. We'll keep an eye on Milwaukee. And then the Dodgers are 37-25. So the Mets are 2 games up on the Dodgers. San Diego's only 1 back. The Cubbies got more wins at 38-23. And Philly's 37-24 has a better record. So they're like in 5th place, the Dodgers. Although we know it's a schedule, and you get your good teams, you get your bad teams. I had to play the Yankees and the Mets. That's why it's hard to look at the standings now, because it's, like the Tigers, they got the best record. Yeah, they played nobody. I mean, give me a team. Oh, they played the Dodgers. They lost all 3. So, they struggled with Kansas City. They struggled with Cleveland. They struggled with Houston. The good teams they're struggling with. Just like the Lions. Colorado, even though they're 3-7, but theoretically they won their last 3. So you have to look at that. All right, let's look at today's games. $12:15, so you got 45 minutes. Arizona goes to Atlanta again. Arizona won a pitcher's duel with even though Chris Sale pitched, he didn't win. Atlanta won 60-9. Brandon Pfaadt, our favorite pitcher, 7-4 to 505, and Granholm. This has got to go over 9. So we're going to go Atlanta over 9. Do we want to bet it? Well, when we look, all right, so that's your 12:15. Let's go through the new ones. The Yankees, 4 good hitters and 2 bad hitters. Now, a good hitter is roughly 255 and up, and a bad hitter is roughly 230 and down. So there's a little space in the 230, 240, low 250s that aren't counted either way. That's why you might not total 9. Toronto, 7 hitters and 2 bad. Boston, 6 hitters and 3 bad. Baltimore, 4-4. Tampa, 5-2. Detroit, 6-1. Cleveland 5-3, KC 6-2, Minnesota 6-2. So they're a lot better hitting than you think. The White Sox are now 3-4. Texas is 3-4. Seattle 4-4, and California is 3-6. Houston's 4-2, and Oakland's 4-3. Oakland had 6. Now they're down to 4 hitters. The Mets are 4-2. They were 6. I show one injured guy, and I know that because the guy who was batting yesterday had a 0 batting average. So obviously he was replacing somebody. Philly 5-3. Miami 3-3. They used to be 7-2, are now 3-3. Injuries there. So this is why everything changes, and that's why it's very hard to do trend analysis because of the variables changing. Washington 5-4, Atlanta 4-2. The Cubbies 6-1, Milwaukee 4-3, Cincy 4-3, St. Louis 5-2, Pittsburgh 2-4, San Diego 5-2. They used to be 7. The Dodgers 5-2, used to be 7. The 49ers 4-4 with 2 injured guys. So 2 guys played yesterday with zero batting average. And they only have 4 hitters now. Arizona 7-2, and Colorado 4-5. Colorado got a little better. So when you're looking at the first game, Arizona was 7-2, and Atlanta was 4-2. Not a lot of bad hitters on the team. Not as many good hitters. So you could possibly play this over. Fat with the 505 and Grant Holmes with the 378. You never know with that. So you can bet it over if you like. Atlanta's a 160 favorite. St. Louis, KC will probably play 2 today because they were rained out yesterday. St. Louis minus 125, 8.5. Noah Cameron 2-1 with the 105. Miles McCollus 4-2 with the 390. So we're going under game 1. KC under 8.5, and this will be 2 units as they were postponed yesterday. This Noah Cameron we saw was a good pitcher, what did we do? We went under 8 yesterday. Okay. So he is a good pitcher for 4 or 5, and then McCollus. All right. Detroit at the White Sox. We finally get pitchers. Detroit minus 2-8. KC Mize 6-1 with the 282, who's always injured. Schonberg 3-6 with the 420. Detroit should win. So we'll take Detroit here. We'll play him for 2 units. Casey Mize looks good, but he's injured a lot, and who knows what they're doing with the bullpen. Schonberg 3-6 with the 420. The White Sox, not a great bullpen. They are hitting, though. They are hitting a little bit better. So they're 19-43. Anyway, Philly at Toronto. Bryce Harper is back. Philly 115-8. Jesus Luzardo 5-1, 358. Chris Bassett for Toronto 5-3, 380. I think Bassett's probably the better pitcher here. They beat him like 2-1 yesterday. 2 decent pitchers. You just never know with Philly. They could score 10 runs on you easily. So I can't go that way. I don't know. I think I'm going to take Toronto, but I'm not going to bet it. I don't know what to do with the 8. I can't bet. Bryce Harper's back out. Philly can hit. Philly's got 5 hitters and 3 bad hitters. So, and they got 5 good hitters. So it's really hard to go under with Philly. It's like betting against Mahomes. You just can't do it. Minnesota, Oakland. Now, as we said, Oakland is 1-9 their last 10. Minnesota's 190-10. David Fiesta 0-1 with the 138 against Mitch Spence 1-1 with the 438. David Fiesta out of New Jersey. Went to Seton Hall. Who goes to Seton Hall for baseball? He's pitched in 3 games, 4 innings a game, gave up 2 runs to the White Sox. I gave up 1 run to the Tigers in 4 innings, and the Mets shut them out in 5. He did pitch last year. His ERA was 5, so he's not too good. So his ERA is kind of fake. It's 3 games of 4 innings a game. What is that? So we're going to go over here. Let's go mini over 10. Oakland has got 4 hitters now. So Oakland had more hitters, and they're down. I mean, you get slumps, you get injuries. That's why you got to keep this constant. What's going on with that? So I would take Minnesota, but the 138 is fake. It's 3 games, 4 innings a game. So it's hard to bet Minnesota when you don't know what their pitcher is. Oakland's 4.38 pitcher. But Minnesota should win because Oakland's 1-9 their last 10. Baltimore's been hot at Seattle. Seattle 157.5. Zach Eflin 4-2 with the 4.46 against Ric Flair 5-2 with the 2.82. Brian Wu. Yeah, we got it. We're taking Seattle. We're taking the Flair man. Baltimore with 4 hitters, Seattle with 4 hitters. So it's probably an under game, but we're just going to go with Ric Flair. We'll take Rick. San Diego, Frisco. This game's been killing me. Dylan Cease, 1-4 with the 4.66, has been pitching like a 1.5 again. Robbie Ray, 7-1 with the 2.43. We're going under here. San Diego under 7.5. We'll go 2 units. 2 good pitchers. Cease is pitching really well lately, and Robbie Ray's 7-1 with the 2.43. I love when the Tigers give up on them. All of a sudden they're all superstars. Good GM at Detroit. Doesn't know what the hell he's doing. We'll go under there. They've been playing low-scoring games except for yesterday. The Mets play the Magic Johnson Dodgers. The Dodgers 130-10. David Peterson 4-2 with the 2.69 against Landon Knack 3-2. We're all over the Mets. We're taking the Mets. 2 units on the Mets. They've been hot in the series. They won 2 games now. And David Peterson with a 2.69. The Dodgers are not hitting. And the Mets have beaten them twice. And Landon Knack, they should beat the hell out of that guy with a 4.58 ERA. So we are on the Mets. Now, I don't like betting against the Phillies. I don't mind betting against the Dodgers. They have no bullpen. Houston and Pittsburgh, the AFC Championship game, 1979. Earl Campbell against Mean Joe Green. They held Campbell to about 30 yards. That's how good the Pitt defense was. They faced Earl Campbell and held him to 30 yards. Houston 145, 7.5. Framber Valdez 5-4 with the 3.12. Mitch Keller 1-7 with the 3.73. We're going to go Houston here. All right, the Cubbies in Washington. The Cubbies 145 and 9.5. Drew Pomerantz 2-0 with an O. Jake Irvin 5-1 with a 3.93. Let's see what Drew Pomerantz 2-0. Yeah, he's a bullpen guy. What do you do with these bullpen guys? It's like this new, like, seriously. And there's not that many good bullpen pitchers anyway. Jake Irvin. I'm going to take Washington here. They won yesterday. It's an unknown, the bullpen. Cleveland goes to the Yankees. They beat them 4-0. The Yankees have no offense anymore. You've got the best hitter in the league and you have no offense. I don't understand it. Yankees are 275, 8.5. Slade Cioni, 1-1 with the 5.28. Max Fried, 7-1 with the 1.92. That explains that. So we got to take the Yanks, and we'll go 2 units. Max Fried. Max Fried is the equalizer. Even if the Yankees won't score runs, we know Cleveland won't score runs. We just hope they let Max Fried pitch 8 innings. Texas and Tampa. Tampa 145-9. Jack Leader 4-2 with the 3.66. Ryan Peapod 3-5 with the 3.21. And we look, we got Tampa Bay with 5 hitters now and Texas now with 3. Texas is not hitting. Tampa, Peapod. Yeah, let's go. Let's go under in this game. I don't trust Peapod. T-Bay under 9. No bet. And now game 2 of the KC St. Louis. They're fucking their players over too, so they can make $5 in attendance. I think people going to the game will just pick one game and go to it. They're not going to come back. I think it's the stupidest thing. They should just play it. You're tiring out. Your players are playing the games at 1:45. The guys are at the stadium by 10, and then they're going to play. And that game will be over about 4:30, and then you're asking them to sit and do nothing for 3 hours. What are they going to do? Go home? And then 7:45, and they're just going to be exhausted. St. Louis minus 127.5. Cole Reagan's 2-3 with the 4.53 against Matthew Libertari, 3-4. I'm going to take St. Louis in the nightcap, but no bet. So let's see. We got Atlanta over 9. We got KC under 8.5, 2 units. We got Detroit, 2 units. Toronto, Minnesota over 10. Seattle, San Diego under 7.5. The JETSs, 2 straight. Houston, Washington, the Yankees, Max Fried, 2 units. Tampa Bay under 9, and St. Louis. So the St. Louis, we're betting game 1 under 8.5. And then St. Louis, we're not betting St. Louis in game 2. So there's 5 bets. KC under 8.5, Detroit, San Diego under 7.5, the JETSs, and the Yankees, and the Aaron Judges. That is today's picks, brought to you by the professor. We got NBA finally today. I mean, they lose their audience. Nobody sits around waiting a week for game 1 and then game 2 Sunday. Not with these 2 teams, OKC and Indiana. Ain't nobody watching. So I think we gave a pick yesterday. So we've got OKC 9.5 and 230.5. I like the game over. Game 1 should be pretty wild, pretty open. Indy's a high-scoring team, as is OKC. OKC has some defense, but I think Indy's been scoring, so we need 115 to 115. Hey, Pat, how's Singapore? You guys still floating around there? Are the Chinese getting on you for tariffs and trade? Yep, silver hits 36. What a happy day. They're fighting it back a little bit, 35.75. But I think we've got our man. I think we had to hit 36, and now we'll see 100. I was shocked because I know they've been fighting it, but it just kept going 33, 34. And then it was up like $1.80. It was like 35, 36. So let's see if we can get through the U.S. and get it back to 36, which I doubt. Probably end mid 35s. And gold will probably get close to 34 again. You swap some gold for silver? I don't know about that, but because we had to wait because gold's going to run, it's going to 4,500. So you're going to make a lot of that. But the thing with silver, and this is what I was talking about with Luke, was if you have, it's hard to get 100 ounces of silver, of gold, because it's so expensive, right? And so if it goes up, if you got 50 ounces of gold, it goes up $100, you make $5,000. But it's not that hard to have, let's say, 1,000 ounces of silver versus the 50 ounces of gold. Silver goes up $100, you make 100 times 1,000, you make 100,000, I believe. Is that right? Yeah, if it goes up $10 again, well, $1,000 goes up 10 is 10,000. So if it goes up $10, you make 10,000. So if it goes up 100, you make 100,000, and that's the thing why everybody's screaming about silver. Because if silver finally gets to 500, there's going to be a lot of rich people who have 1,000 ounces of silver or 600 ounces of silver. So that's the thing about silver. Because it's cheap, you accumulated a lot of it. And since you're accumulating it, the multiplier doesn't have to go up as high, but we just haven't seen it go up yet. So finally at 36, all right, so you made $2 today times 1,000 ounces, still 20 grand, I believe. So that's really the thing. So with gold going up 100, I know 50 ounces, you make $5,000. Now, I know you're not selling it, but the value's gone up, and that's the key. I had a really good thing at the end of my class yesterday. I'm going to try to remember what the hell I talked about and redo it right after I'm done with NBA. So it's game one. We're going to take the over because I don't like OKC -9. Indiana's been scoring. They got blown out in game 7. Oak City will probably play an intense game. They could cover the 9. I will not take Indy here, but I think the over is the play, but I'm not really sure. Having not seen either team, we'll go there. What was my ending yesterday? It was a beautiful ending. It really nailed something. Oh no, we won NFL. So any news? Why do they keep talking about Prime Jr.? Sanders didn't take first team reps at OTAs. It hurt. Prime blast pre-draft treatment of son. Hey, Prime. Nobody cares about you, Prime. Nothing new. We're still waiting on we're still waiting on we're still waiting on we're still waiting on what are we waiting on? I don't know. I lost my thought. So anyway, how I ended it yesterday was beautiful. Something with the market, but I can't remember it. Let me know if you watched it and you remember. Oh, thanks, Pat. I don't eat before. I start eating a little after 11. I'm just having pita bread, a little avocado. Well, if you watch movies, they eat all the time. There's a Russian movie I watched, and half the movie they're at the table eating. I swapped some gold for silver last month, so Anyway, so we're waiting for the silver to go, but that'll be the key to it is, like I said, every $10 if you have 1,000 ounces. So you're more likely to have 500, 600, 800 ounces of silver at $35 than you are to have 500 ounces of gold. I mean, unless you really started collecting back when it was 200 in the 90s. I mean, if you're lucky enough to do that, I got into baseball cards because of my ex. Once I got my master's, I knew to buy gold, and I bought a little bit of it. I bought this, and I bought a half ounce and 2/4 ounces, and really cheaply. But then we got into the cards. Unfortunately, I was smart enough to go after the Manos and the Mazes and not worry about the hoops and the skybox. So in the hot tub with a communist who doesn't know he's a communist, we're just talking, and somehow it went to capitalism. And by what he was saying, I could tell he was a communist because he's sitting there. He's sitting there saying he liked FDR. I don't know where these guys get it. They think the Fed's good. They think FDR was good. Trump's bad. I don't love Trump either, but I would rather have him than Kamala Harris or Biden or any of those idiots or George Soros. He doesn't understand like free trade. He doesn't understand. He thinks the minimum wage is good. He thinks that corporations are bad and it's all corrupt and people can't move. I go, you can switch jobs in America. You can do what you want, and you can switch jobs. And he made a comment, well, like, well, how do you, well, that's your opinion. And I go, no, I don't give opinions here. This is all what I learned. This is all facts. This is all what's going to happen. I'm sure of it. Not, I think it might, like, it's like saying tomorrow's Friday. Well, I'm not giving my opinion. I am sure tomorrow's Friday. We talked about silver. Silver hit 36. Let's see if we can get it to 50. We talked gold going to 3,400. And when gold was at 2,000, that's why me and Luke met, was that when gold hit 3,000, when it was maybe 21, 2,200. And now it's almost 34. These are not opinions I'm giving you. These are what I've read and learned in my master's program. And I always hate when guys discount it. Well, that was school. Oh, so what you learned there doesn't count. So if I watch Adam Smith on YouTube and I learn it doesn't count, if we watch the doctors and we learn it doesn't count. I mean, you're like, how do you learn then? And I says, but you're a communist, but you don't know you're a communist. Hey, Ron Weiss, I just traded all my silver for gold. There you go. Well, you're a happy man with silver today, 36. Now we'll see how the banks scramble, and it's being cut back to 35.75. So hopefully we get to 37, then it's gone. Then you'll be happy. Gold, on the other hand, hit 3,400 this morning. It was a happy day. Silver had hit 36 and gold had hit 3,400 at about the same time at about 8 in the morning when I woke up. Because I'm always curious, and Europe just raised it, and the U.S. is coming in just doing their little shorts, not really the price fix, just to make money because it went up so much. The U.S. always so clever, a bunch of idiots. But yeah, I mean, you have more ounces of silver, right? So it's easy to get 500 ounces of silver if you just buy 40 here and 20 there. It's not expensive. And yet gold, you just can't. It's very hard for us to accumulate 1,000 ounces of gold. I wish I had 1,000 ounces of gold. I wish I bought it when I was younger instead of the baseball cards, because it would have been about was in the early 1990s, which probably would have been about 300, 400 an ounce. And I could have cleaned up, but I didn't have the same money I have now. But, and going through the divorce, I would have lost half of it, I'm sure. Somebody I know called it TK. Thank you, Ron. Yeah, well, I called the Super Bowl too. I'm pretty good at that. But that's where it is. It's going up, and the biggest reason is the dollar's worth nothing. So of course you have to. How do you? Okay, you can hold dollars and watch it go, or stock market probably going to collapse, mostly because the foreigners are pulling it out. I said that yesterday. Now I got to watch the end of my class yesterday. It was a great theory I stumbled on like 10 minutes before class ended, and I wanted to do it early so everybody could see it, because in case you didn't last 3 hours. Well, I don't expect you to watch the full 3 hours. I expect you to watch a half hour or 45 minutes and then come back. Or if you're watching the sports, I got a lot of guys who want the sports picks. I got a lot of guys who want the gold and stuff. Well, thank you, Ron. Well, you've seen me in football, so you know I'm pretty good at predicting stuff. But really, it's the concept, and the theory was the dollar's going out. You're printing the dollar too much. It was really Biden and his $7 trillion spending bill that got me into the. It's like, okay, the dollar. As soon as he did that, I said the dollar's worthless. What do I get into? And I go, well, euros, no. Swiss francs, no. Then I realized I couldn't go into any other paper, and that led me to gold and silver. I already had the baseball cards, or it led me into Rolexes, but I'd rather be in gold and silver than the Rolex. But Rolex is certainly going to help you, as well. If you have Brady cards or Jordan cards, you'll be fine. But everything will get repriced. So the communist in the hot tub doesn't know he's a communist, and he keeps bringing up some strange words that what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you can't change jobs. And he said, well, I had worked at Ford and I couldn't quit. Well, what do you mean you couldn't quit? Why not? Just quit. It's America. You can quit and go work at GM if you want. And then he was bitching about his raise and his rates. And then he was bitching about how the owners make all the money. And I go, well, that's exactly communism. They don't want the owner to make all the money. They believe it should be shared with the workers. That's not reality. That's a fantasy, and that's a communistic view. We never taught you make with your skill set. As I'm in finance, I make what my skill set pays me. If you're on the line at Ford, you make what the skill set pays you. But it's your choice what you want to get into. I happen to get a master's in finance and economics, so I get paid more. But it was my choice to get the master's. I didn't have to, but I was smart enough to do it. Just as you guys, if you're doctors, if you're lawyers, if you're whatever you are, but you can be a basketball player and make $10 million, or apparently a football player and can make $30, $40 million, or a baseball. You can be good in sports and make a lot of money because the demand's there, the market's there. It's all the TV, which makes the market, and the owners are stupid. They never negotiate. So that's the problem. Like Myles Garrett makes 40 million. So now every defensive end gets 40 million. This is where I find the owners to be out of their mind. If you're running the Lions, my guy's getting paid 20 million, take it or leave it. And if you don't want it, fine, sit out. You're my property. That's what football is. You're my asset. And if I sign you to a 4 or 5 year contract, you're mine for 4 or 5 years. I don't have to trade you. I don't have to do anything. If you want to sit out, sit out. I don't really care. This is what I'm going to pay you. But the owners are stupid. Oh, if he made 40, I got to pay 41. Look at the quarterbacks. And that's why so many teams suck, is they put all their money into one player and then they have no defense. Right? So that's what you're looking at. But anyway, he he was a communist who didn't understand he was a communist. And then he didn't like capitalism. He thought FDR was good. I said, FDR caused the Depression. How is that good? Well, it created, I don't know what. It didn't create jobs, it killed jobs. But you're talking to somebody who is so stupid. And I told him to his face, I said, you're really too stupid to talk to. I said, I don't like talking to communists. And you're too stupid to know you're a communist. And I said that to him right to his face in the hot tub. And but I stayed stoic. I didn't do anything, but I couldn't believe what he was talking about. And he says, well, you don't know what you're talking about. I go, oh no, I'm sure I know what like he said something about your opinion. I go, these aren't opinions. These are facts. And I'm sure of what my facts are. I teach it every day. I think I know what the hell I'm talking about. And you can see it all unfolding. I said, the US is broke and the gold's going to go up and stocks are going to drop and the dollar's worthless. And I go, these aren't opinions. None of it is my opinion. I show you my notes. I show you where I get it from. These are all facts. Yeah, we are living it, and you can see it. You go to the grocery store, boom. I paid $14 for I think I got a T-bone or something on Saturday. I wanted to cook steak Saturday, so I was too tired to cook my chicken, so I was like, oh, I'll just go get a steak. I can throw that in the oven, and 15 minutes I have a steak. And then I can eat it for dinner because after swim, I'm always a little hungry, too hungry to cook anything. So he thought FDR was good, and they think the central banks are good. And I'm like, where are you hearing this from? Who is telling you this stuff? Because it's all bullshit. Central bank is killing the country. It causes wars. It causes inflation in the trade cycle. And they don't even know what inflation is. I says, it's all terrible. And they're arguing, no, you're wrong. FDR was great. I go, how was he great? He put us in a depression for 15 years. He wasn't great. He was terrible from an economic standpoint. He didn't do free trade. He took us off gold. He took everybody's gold. We didn't take everybody's. What he did was he took the money out of the bank. So if you had money in the bank, they took the money out of the bank for you. In other words, I don't know if there was safes and you had your house in the 1930s like you do now. Now my gold's in a safe. It's never in the bank. So if they do compensated it, they're going to compensate the bank. They're not going to compensate. They're not knocking on your door. Hey, you got gold? They just go to the bank. And if the bank has gold, that's what they did. And if you had 10 ounces, they gave you $20 an ounce. That's what they did. But that was FDR. That's the wonderful FDR. And he basically destroyed the country. We made money on the war because we got Britain's gold to build them stuff. But that's where our defense contractors started to come into play. But then he bitched about Reagan and about the lobbyists. I brought up the lobbyists. I said, this is the problem with the government. It should be blown up because it's basically run by the lobbyists. And they say, do this and do that. And all the senators and Trump and everybody does what the lobbyists say. So who's running the country? George Soros or Donald Trump? My money's on George Soros. And that's really but he says, well, that was Reagan's act to allow lobbyists. Like, what are you talking about? Reagan's act. So he doesn't like Reagan. I don't understand it. Capitalism's bad. Socialism's good. Where do these people hear this shit? Or this is the problem. People hear it and you don't check the source. If you're listening to Reichert, he's a socialist, right? He's a Keynesian. So if you listen to him, you're going to get a Keynesian. Oh, we can print money and we have unlimited money to print. But he doesn't understand. But if you do that, the money has no value. So you can print. It's the same thing. That's why I bring up the cake issue. I can eat a chocolate cake every day. I could, but I'll be dead and I'll have massive diabetes and heart attacks because
I'll be so sick from eating all that sugar. But I could eat a cake every day. I just won't live long. And that's what you can print the money because you're the reserve currency. Well, that has nothing to do with it, the reserve currency. Especially now, everybody is getting off, BRICS is getting off of the dollar. All the BRICS countries are buying gold and trading with themselves. China trades with Brazil, China trades with India, Russia trades with Iran. They all trade with Saudi Arabia and India and South Africa and Mexico or Brazil. That they're not wanting the dollar, and as soon as there's no demand for the dollar, it's worthless. And there's pretty much no demand. And Trump's with the tariffs really killing any demand there would be for the dollar. Yes, Ron, Reagan was good. I'm glad I was old enough to vote for him. The libs shot at him also. Well, exactly. Reagan was great because from an economic standpoint, right? Reagan goes and lowers taxes and raises interest rates. He didn't really get us out of the inflation, but it appeared to. But yeah, that's where we got a lot of the productivity gains was from Reagan. With the low tax rates, more money went to the people. So you earn money, and there's two things that happen. Either you keep it or you give it to the government. The more you keep, the better you spend it, right? We go to Target, we go to Kroger's, and we look and we buy certain things, and we don't buy other things. The government doesn't care. The government just sits there and spends $5,000 on a hammer because they have a budget and they have to spend their budget or they don't get it next year. What a strange concept that is. When I do budget work at Mercedes, let's say it's a $50 million budget. And so I go into each cost center and see what they have. And from year to year, you would say, are you doing the same thing or are you adding or subtracting? And so you'd start with 50 million. We're adding 10, we're subtracting 20. Now you got a $40 million budget. And because you have to prove it. Well, we're adding, project XYZ and ABC, but we're losing project ABD and EFG. And you total it up, and then there's normal costs, your people and your stuff. And that's where you come up with a new budget. Not, well, if you don't spend it, you don't get it. What the fuck is that? Hey, Prophet. Gold, silver 36 today, Prophet. Hit 3,400. So very exciting day here. So Reagan, by lowering taxes, created this huge productivity gains. And then people think the Federal Reserve is responsible for the growth in the country because they could print more money. We're on the gold standard from 1813 to about 1870 when the Civil War came out, and then 1879 to 1913 when the Fed came out. We're on the gold standard. We did okay then. There was mass productivity in the whole world from 1879 to 1913. Every country was on the gold standard, and it's never been a more productive time. The steam engines, Henry Ford probably started his right around then. The trains were out there, Standard Oil, the Rockefellers, the JP Morgans did his thing, Standard Oil. So you had all this stuff come out without the Fed. The Fed kills it because they print the money to zero, which is what's happened now. But you had this, it's like this compound interest from the gold standard. So we were so high with the gold standard, and then the Federal Reserve kind of steals a little at a time till we're at now zero. Prophet, did you recommend swapping gold for silver at this point? No, I don't. I'd stay in gold. I recommend buying silver. I recommend taking what you have and buying silver. Now that it hit 36, we're on our way to 100. But gold is going to go to 4,500. So what would you rather have? I mean, I'd rather buy 100 ounces of silver, but I would prefer to buy, that's 100 ounces of silver is what, 3,500? Yeah, times 35.
So if I had 3,500, there's 100 ounces of silver or 1 ounce of gold. So I might take the 100 ounces of silver at this point, knowing that silver is about to break. It could be being bought because of this Basel III environment that's starting July 1st. So when Basel III comes in, they're going to have to cover the silver options here. So I think they're buying it knowing that the game's over anyway, and we can't keep shorting it because we got to pay back. Because now the people like China goes, I want delivery of the gold. I want delivery of the silver. Basel III makes them deliver it. And they're in big trouble if they're delivering it, if they don't have it. So I think they're trying to buy it now so they can cover, because they got 30,000 tons to cover the U.S., and they don't have any silver to cover it. My belief is there is no gold or silver available. I don't see that. Yeah, I know my payment's due on the 12th. It's the fact of a week, and I get paid on Monday, so fuck off. So that's what you really have is Basel III forcing the covering. And so that's why I think you're starting to see gold and silver, well, especially silver, start to run. Let's see what it's at now. It's still upper 35s. It's a very interesting 2 days, today and tomorrow, with gold and silver. Silver 35.44, gold 33.50. Gold's probably going to start moving up now. I don't really understand the drop, but it is the 10 o'clock drop, as we know. So now if I was buying, now I would buy 33.50. I'd start buying it. It'll get back to 33.80. You can see at about 7:30, it was 3,400. And then silver's dropping for no reason. But it is 35.44. The longer it holds in the mid 35s, then the better the chance. But I don't know the trigger that they have to start doing. They have to start settling their options. So what they've done is they've sold at 25, and as I showed you in Eddie Murphy Trading Places, they sold the orange juice at 142, but they bought it back at about 40. They have to do both ends of the transaction. And what the banks have done is they sold silver at 25, thinking it was going to go down, but it hasn't. So they got to do the buy part. You have to do both parts. And they can't buy it because it's at 35, and they're going to lose $10 an option. So they need to figure out, do I get out now, or because it's never going to go down to 25 and will never go down to 30. So that's where it's at. Anyway, we'll see so good news anyway. We got a 36 in silver, which nobody was thinking. So again, so back to the communist, he doesn't get, he's like, he kept thinking, well, at Ford, they won't let you earn, they'll tell you what you can earn as the owner. And I says, no, it's the market. I can take my skill set, my master's in finance, and I've been at GM, Ford, Mercedes, and lately Tenneco. Why can I work at all these companies? Because I have the skill set. And if I don't like it, I tell them to fuck off, like I did at Toyota in Alabama, and move somewhere else. And that's the point. But I'm in play because people need my skill set. And that's the big part, was that. And he's saying, no, you can't do. And I'm like, well, why can't you move? I says, it's not based on the owner dictating the price. It's you in the marketplace. What will an attorney get paid? What will a doctor get paid? What will somebody who cuts hair get paid? What will a guy who works at Target get paid? It depends on your skill set and then the market, and you're free to go work at Walmart or Myers or Target. You can quit and go to the other one if they pay more. You can work fast foods. You could work at a restaurant. If you're a good waiter, you can work at different restaurants. And that's really the key to it. The market sets everything, right? And I know I was talking about market at the end of my show yesterday. I'll have to rewatch it, but it was such a perfect thing I thought of. Fortunately, these are on video, so I can watch it. Anyway, so you have that, and he just couldn't get it. But it was all communistic, where the owner shouldn't make all that money, and he's evil. He's the owner. He makes the money, and then he doesn't give us raises, and he stopped at it. And I'm looking at him like, what the hell are you talking about? So one thing me and Luke talked about Tuesday was we talked about the 401ks, how it's really a Ponzi scheme. If you're working at GM and you're there and you're taking 5% of your salary for 401k and they match 5%, the problem is you can't say I'm going to sell it, and you can't put it into gold. So now you realize what's happening. You want to pull your 401k and then pay your tax and then have the money and go buy gold and silver, because you know that's going to go to the moon. And you know the stock market's going to crash. You can't sell it. So he's telling me how he can't sell his 401k. And he won't quit. He's been at the job 30 years. So this is the problem I see with people with 401ks. This is why the stock market keeps going up, because they take everybody's paycheck and they put it into the 401k and then they match it. So you're always getting more money in the 401k in the stock market every pay period. And this is the problem. So the stocks keep going up, and the market's good. Market's crap. The market's going to crash, and the market's going to crash because of the foreigners. There's like 17, $20 trillion in the stock market from foreigners, which would be China, Japan, Germany, England, France, Switzerland, whatever the country who has wealth, have their money in stocks, are going to realize they see the $37 trillion debt and they go, I wonder how safe the dollar is. And then we run T-bills, which is how we spend. So imagine we can do T-bills in our personal life. So we go, shit, I need rent and groceries. I need to do T-bills for, $1 million. And nobody trusts me, so nobody buys them. Well, that's what the U.S. is doing. The government's too big. They can't afford it all. All right. So you're sitting there with all this massive government. You got to pay their pensions and you got to pay their salary, right? Every department, right? Jack Bauer and Homeland Security and all these different departments. The DOD gets paid by the government, which is us, but they don't have enough money to do it because there's Social Security, Medicare, and the interest on the bill, and the military spend. So they have to do T-bills in order to pay all the people. That's why you can't have a big government, because it doesn't create revenue. If you're looking at it, this would be a cost center, which means it's just, there's no revenue. It's all cost. I did that at like Mercedes. We were a cost center. We were IT. We didn't make money. We had $50 million of expense. There was the sales thing, and that would branch down and pay everybody. But basically, we're a cost center. That's basically but the selling of the Mercedes paid for us. There is no sales in the government that pays for all the employees. So the way they get it is by the treasury bills. They have these auctions, and that's how they get the money in to pay everybody. But now nobody's buying it. So the Fed's actually buying our own T-bills, which means we're broke. China, now how did China get all the T-bills? Is on the tariffs or on the trade. There is no such thing as a trade deficit. I don't know why people think you're supposed to be even. If we buy
a bunch of Nike and a bunch of Apple phones and a bunch of clothes and stuff from China, we're not supposed to sell back the equal amount. We give them money. Here, I'm going to buy an iPhone. Here's 1,600 of this. We are trading them money for the goods. There's no trade balance or trade difference. The trade is equal because they're getting money and we're getting goods. It's a wash. So, but what do they do with the money? The US dollar is no good in China. What are they going to do with it? They can't. It's like here, if we had Chinese renminbi, I can't go to Kroger's and go, oh, I'm going to pay you in renminbi. They look at me and cart me off. No, you need US dollars. So they need renminbi in China. So what they do is they take the money and it goes into treasuries. And that's where the treasury. So if they sell us $1 trillion worth of goods, we give them $1 trillion worth of cash. It's going into the treasuries as opposed to coming back and exchanging it for renminbi or yuan. So that's why they have all these treasuries. But they're smart. They're realizing the dollar is worthless. So they don't want to be holding trillions of dollars and dollars that are worthless. So they are dumping them to buy gold. And that's where it's all coming from, is this 37 trillion in debt. We don't balance our budget. And that's exactly why. And now they're calling it a trade imbalance. These tariffs are a joke. I think that's Trump's way of trying to pay off the 37 trillion, and it'll never work because all you're doing is raising costs. And so nobody's going to pay more for goods and services with more expensive. So now the companies are going, shit, we can't raise prices. We got to lay off people, which then there's less people in the market to buy things. So this is really where the whole problem lies. And the tariffs are terrible. And oh yeah, FDR did tariffs. And yeah, we were in a depression until 1945. What an idiot. See, I look at FDR from an economic standpoint. I look at Reagan from an economic standpoint. I thought he was a great president. I thought Trump in the first term was okay. This time, I think he's out of his mind, and bringing on a Soros guy, I know he's out of his mind. How can you bring in Scott Bassett, who works for Soros, and think that's a good move? And people seem to think he's a gold guy. And then we find out there's no gold in Fort Knox. It's all China's, if there's any. So what do we do? Bitcoin's not the answer. It's not real. As I say, prove it to me. Show me a Bitcoin. Oh, you can't. Oh, so you're paying $105,000 for ear. Yeah, good. If I had $105,000, I would certainly not buy a Bitcoin. I'd buy 30 ounces of gold and the rest in silver. And I'd sit back and not worry about anything. So that's what the tariffs are doing. They're basically making things cost too much, which either means you raise prices if and only if the market will allow you. So a lot of the goods you can't raise price. The market is there. I think that was one of the discussion points. Was the market with the communist? He didn't understand anything. But I'm the one who doesn't know what I'm talking about. I got a little insulted. I got a master's from a major business school, an accounting school in Michigan, one of the top in the country. And he's poo-pooing my degree. Oh, it's just a man. It's just a degree. It doesn't mean anything. And do you have a degree? No. Oh, so you're smarter than me without a degree because I have a master's. Then you're saying that I think I'm smart because I have the master's, not because I know anything. And I'm telling him to fuck off. I said, this is not an opinion. I don't know where you're getting your opinions from, but they're all wrong. FDR was terrible. You think Biden was good? And then they twist everything. Well, we have all this productivity because of the central bank and because FDR. And I'm like, what world are you living in? Where did you find this? Are you reading Karl Marx? Are you with the other communist guy that I talked to? So, I mean, this is the big problem with the country. You have idiots like this thinking that this is what
is the reason they don't like capitalism, because the president of the company who took the risk gets the reward. And so I think their problem is they don't quite understand when the president of Ford, or William Clay Ford, gets $10 million, but the worker makes 50,000, 60,000. I think they don't. Well, why does he make so much? Well, because he owns the company, he took the risk. So I said to the guy, well, let's say we open up an ice cream shop. Well, we need money to open it. And what if it fails? Are the employees going to help chip in to cover what we lost? No. We take the risk, we get the reward. How much you pay the guy to scoop the ice cream is what the market dictates. You put out, we'll pay you $10 an hour. Does anybody show up? If no, you make it $15. There's a sweet spot where eventually, okay, $20 an hour, you got a guy to scoop the ice cream out. That's what you got to pay. You got to have somebody there to do it. Not a robot or AI. I love that. So he can't understand the market. And then there was some other things, and I says, well, Coke raised their price to $3.60. The market controls whether it's bought or not, and I don't see it being sold. In fact, at Meijer's, I still see it at $3, and if I go to Walmart, it's like $2.65. At like Kroger's, it's $3.65, but then it's buy two for $5. Get two for $5, total of $5. So they're $2.50 a bottle. So I said, the market controls everything. It controls the prices. That went way over his head. Oh no, the prices are set by the mean owners. I go, no, the market. And he couldn't understand a simple concept. And I'm thinking, you have access to me in a hot tub for 20 minutes to learn a master's program, and you choose to fight with me over things that you are like saying today's Sunday. No, it's Thursday. Well, that's your opinion. No, I don't think it's my opinion. I think today is Thursday. And that was about where I was with the guy, and he just couldn't. So somebody else was hearing it, and he was on our team. He was a gold guy, and he starts talking to the guy. He like butts in, and I'm being stoic with the guy. I'm like, okay, I said, I'm not wrong. You're dead wrong. You're wrong on all your assumptions. So of course he says, you're wrong on my assumptions. And that's what I told him. They're not opinions. And so this other guy, and they wanted to fight because they each told each other to fuck off, because the new guy was like, no, he's right. And the other guy was like, no, he's wrong. And so they were ready to fight. And I stopped it. I said, be stoic. We don't fight in a hot tub. Gold is gold. Gold's king. That's all we need to worry about. Just stop acting like 3-year-olds. So I did stop the fight, but I never was going to fight the guy. I don't fight. I just get you with my brain. And I said, these are not opinions. And I just said, you're too stupid to talk to. I really don't know how to talk to you, because I don't like talking to communists, because I don't like explaining everything. Buy gold and get out of your stocks and get off the money out of your bank. And that's it. Very simple. It's like talking to 3-year-olds. Oh no, FDR was good and the central banks are good. And you're like, okay, I don't know how to talk to somebody who's like an infant, right? Where do you go with it? So the best thing to do is this is why I don't talk to a lot of people there, because very few people are smart enough to be at our level. And then you get these idiots who just are clueless, and you're trying to help them. Like, look, you don't want to be a communist. You don't want the government running things. You want the market running things. And he says, where did you learn? And I said, Adam Smith. Go watch Adam Smith on YouTube. And that should straighten you out on what a market is and how everything works and how it's our choice when we don't want the government running things. So it's very simple, but it's like questioning how I learn things. Well, you go to your doctor and say, well, what medical school did you go to? How do you know how to fix my leg or something? I mean, it's really, you question you question education, really. So anyway, so that was my day in the hot tub last night.
with the communists. And really, we were talking about other things. I don't remember what we were talking. I think it was just the hot tub's old and it was closed for a month, whatever. So that's the second commie I've run into in a week there. And, I love how they think it's my opinion. And I go, this is not an opinion. Do what you want. Keep your money in the stocks, keep your money in the banks. And when you go broke, don't come crawling to me for gold because you're gonna get screwed. So China is fucking around with Trump and the tariffs, and they're putting pressure on Trump to relieve the tariffs, and Trump's too stupid to change. That might have been what I was talking about. So in other words, Trump needs to adjust, right? Coke marked it up to 362. They can't sell it. So now it's 2 for $5. They're adjusting to the market. Trump's not adjusting to the market. He's doing these tariffs. He doesn't understand them. He thinks it'll pay his $37 trillion debt. But he doesn't get that they're not accepting them. And they're all going on gold-backed currency, and they're all, which is July 17th. Well, China's already doing it. Russia, I think, is going to do it. They're already trading in the gold-backed currency. And Trump is like, oh, if he's trying to be a bully. Well, if you get away from the dollar, we'll sanction you. How would that work? You can't sanction somebody who's not using the dollar. I mean, that's like if you're dating one girl and then you find another girl, and then the first girl says, well, I'm not going to go out with you anymore. And you go, fine, I don't care. I'm out here with this girl. So China's not using the dollar. So what good is the sanction going to do? Are you this stupid, Trump? I don't know. And this Scott Simpson guy, I don't know what he is. He's a Soros guy. I don't think he's not an economist. Again, why are you hiring a guy who's not an economist to run your fucking Treasury Department? So this is always the problem, and that's the problem with government. Also, is none of the people are like if you're going to be a baseball manager, you've managed before, or a football coach. Well, I coached at Alabama, now I'm going to coach at the Rams, or like Harbaugh did from Michigan to San Diego. Okay, fine, he's qualified. You don't have anybody qualified in government to do. They're all attorneys. And then you have, basically it's all run by the lobbyists who, yeah, we want you to do this and we want you to do that. Remember, we got you in and we gave you $1 million. So to give you the $1 million, you must do what we say. That's not government. What is that? That's the guy behind the scene giving them the $1 million running the government. Well, wait a minute. So it's all corrupt and it doesn't work. That was another thing we talked about. But it's just the system's so screwed up now. That's why gold and silver takes you out of the system. We are free now. We are out of the matrix. We see the light. We see the end of the tunnel because nobody can fuck with us. Physical gold, they cannot do attack on Wall Street with you and say, yeah, that 60,000 in your real estate trust is now worth zero. We deleted that trust because we're losing money on it. So we deleted it. And so therefore you have zero. That's like the dollar going out, right? So the guy on Attack on Wall Street, it's the same thing. He basically, they deleted his note because it was going broke, right? So what happened? The note's gone. Your 60,000 is worth zero. When this goes to zero, your house is worth zero. Understand that. If everything priced in this goes to zero, that's the fact. That's not an opinion. That's what happens because your house is worth $500,000. Dollar zero, it's worth zero. Now here comes the gold and silver to the rescue. Well, I'll give you 3 ounces of gold for your house. And you're going to take it because you have no other source of
your house is basically worthless. So you will take the gold as the only piece of money that you can use. And now that silver's finally going, you're going to have a lot of happy people in silver. As I was saying, it's not hard to have 1,000 ounces of silver. It is hard to have 1,000 ounces of gold. But if you have 1,000 ounces of silver and it goes up to 100, you now have $100,000 worth of silver. Well, now I'm not worried about work and I'm not worried about anything. I'll be fine. And not a problem. I'll be fine with $100,000 worth of silver, but we know silver is going to go far greater than 100. So understanding the COMEX game, which ends July 1st or abouts, it'll end July 1st, but I don't know if they'll still do shit. Then we'll see it go. How long the dollar will take to die, I don't know. It just won't be worth anything. It's sort of like Zimbabwe. They tried it 8 times and they inflated. You needed the wheelbarrow there. So Venezuela, their dollar is worthless, but they still have it. So I think what'll eventually happen is our dollar will be worthless, but still there. I assume they'll come out with USD number 2. We have no gold, so we can't come out with a gold-backed currency because you actually need gold for it, and you actually need to prove it. I love when people think China's got 2,000 ounces of gold, and you're like, oh, they got 60. Where? Central bank gold. Yeah, but they have shadow banks, and they have pensions, and they have all these things that have gold. So don't for a minute think China only has 2,000 tons of gold, or Russia. Putin's got his swimming pool is loaded with gold. He's got a gold train. You go into one of his houses, I saw on YouTube, it's gold. So yeah, they got 25,000 tons easy. They can back their dollar with gold. See, right now the problem with the dollar is it's not worth anything for anybody. Once 71 happened and we got off of gold, this paper. This is worthless because it's just paper. It's got a 1 or a 10 or a 20 on it. One thing I thought about yesterday, so people are everywhere in the world is screwed. The gold makes the dollar worth something. If you don't have the gold, the dollar is worthless. But they Ponzi scheme you, they made off you into thinking that it's worth 100. And this is I'm switching to this topic, which is money and what is it worth? What is it and what is it worth? Money is the way to make transactions. Don't say there's no such thing as money. This is money because it's a medium of exchange. It's used to trade things. Money is traded. But when you print it and print it and print it, it has no value. And then you get to what's value. Value is what you can buy with it. So if you have a $100 bill, you can't buy very much with it. Go to the grocery store. You can't fill your cart. You used to, but you can't now. So money still is what is earned or what you get or what you invest in has a value. And the value is determined by what you can buy. And that's the whole key to it. So what will $100 buy you shows you what the value is. And that's why we're in gold and silver, because that's going to buy us a shitload versus the dollar. So we're getting off the boat into the lifeboat, as I say. And that's the key to it is you're really trying to get into the value. And what's the value of gold? Well, we know the value of gold is nowhere near the price. What will gold buy is based on the COMEX price. But once we break COMEX and we just go to the Chinese exchange or the Russian exchange, where they're going to have diamonds, gold, and silver be priced in physical, and you have to give physical bars, and then they'll work on the price. It will be a real physical price, but it's still
if gold's 50,000, it's what will it buy? So what does 50,000 buy you? And that's the key to it. So even though something's worth 50,000, what does it buy you? So when I look at Bobby Orr, what's the value? It's what it will buy me. So let's say this is $60,000. But what does 60,000 buy me? It doesn't buy me a house. It should, but it doesn't. So that's the key. So this card's worth, let's say 60,000. What is that mean? What is the value? We know what the price is, but what does 60,000 mean? Does it, it's great, but it takes me now $15 to buy a steak for a pound, $20 to buy a salmon. So it's what it's worth is the value of what I can buy with it. That's about the easiest way to explain value. What you can buy with the money. And as we know, like this, you can go to Kroger's and you couldn't buy anything. I mean, you could buy a green pepper. I could buy my peppers that are now 3 for $5. So I can buy 3 peppers with this. I can buy maybe a dozen eggs, maybe 2 Cokes, 2 for $5. I don't even think I can buy Oreos with it anymore. I mean, can you imagine that? $5 went out buy you a pack of Oreos. It used to be 89 cents. So that's really what you're looking at. So when we look at stuff, it's what will it purchase is really what it's the value of the money is what you can what you can buy with it. That's the bottom line, what money is and what an economy is, and the market determines the price. So again, the market is for wages, it's for what we can pay people, and it's never called wage inflation. That's not real. It's what we can pay people based on supply and demand. I have a job. Is there demand for it? People email me, hey, Howard, I got this finance job for you. And I go, what's it pay? Oh, it pays $30 an hour. And then I just do a laugh out loud to them going, I got 25 years experience in a master's and you think I'm only worth $30 an hour? Fuck off. I said, when you hit 55, we can talk, but I'm not worth $30 an hour. In the 1980s, I was worth $30 an hour. Not now. So I kind of looked at it like that. It was basically that's your value, but that's a market. So if you're not going to pay me enough, if I'm here and you're offering me, I'll pay you this. When you come up to here, then we can talk. Otherwise, stop insulting me with your bullshit, thinking I'm desperate. And I'm too smart to be desperate because I got gold and silver. So once silver goes up, then I will never work again. I'll just do this and football, but that's not work to me. That's pleasure. And that's the key to it. So there's a market for hiring people, and then there's the price market, which is what price will the market pay for it? The market is the price. So you have to figure out if you're selling Toyotas, Coca-Cola, the Oreos, where is this, right? And that's what you're trying to find. Sometimes you're up here, sometimes you're down there. It's very hard to figure this out, but that's the goal, is to figure this out. This is the market you're trying to hit, selling tennis rackets, golf clubs, t-shirts, shirts, glasses, whatever it is. There's a market for it, and you've got to figure that out. You usually look at it by the competition. Oh, we're Dairy Queen. Oh, what's Baskin Robbins selling ice cream for? Oh, okay. And then we compete. And one way we compete, we might give you 2 more ounces. So, we'll get you that way. And then I would advertise that, hey, we're giving you 2 more ounces of ice cream versus Baskin Robbins. So we'll charge you. We'll see what they charge for a cone. $5. We'll do $5, but we'll give you 2 more ounces. And that forces Baskin Robbins to then give you 2 more ounces, and that's the beauty of competition. We win because we get more, and they lower the price to get the market. And so you're always in business trying to get the market, but you got to figure out what the market is. But again, you mostly figure it out by competition. Toyota, Ford, GM, they look at what the different cars in their range is, and then that's what they put the price at. Let's see. So that's really the big thing is, okay, we figured out the market, so we figured out the price. How do you figure out what the dollar's worth? Because we know the dollar worth in the real world, the dollar's not worth anything. In the play world, when we go to Kroger's, I can give them $5 for two 2-liter Cokes. So what does that mean? You know, that's really what you're looking at. What is my $100 bill? What can I buy with my $100 bill determines what the value is. So when we talk in gold terms of, let's say 3,400, but what does that buy us? And this is where I'm saying the 3,400 is not accurate because it's priced in dollars. And when the dollar goes out, gold will be even higher because then gold is the money and the demand for the gold will go through the roof. Right now, the demand for the dollar is going away and people are getting out of it and dumping their stocks and getting out of the banks and going into their own currency, which means probably going into gold. Again, supply and demand, the market for gold is here. Comex is here. This is why everybody's wanting to buy on Comex. What is this number for gold? We don't know. Let's say it's 10,000. Okay, $10,000 for gold. What is the 10,000? What does the gold buy you? What's the value of the 10,000? That's really the key to it. Well, we know it's worth more than the dollar, but what is the value of the gold at that point? What does the 10,000 buy us? And that's the good question, you know, and then you have all these different currencies. Oh, well, China and then Japan and Russia and then Saudi Arabia's dollar and the euro and the British pound. What is it? You know, those are all how they come up with that's all bullshit. That's as bad as Comex. Why is the dollar worth less than the euro? It makes no sense. The euro is broke. The dollar's broke. The best one's the British pound. It's like $1 buys you 79 cents to the British pound. And why? If our dollar's not that strong, the British pound we know has no value. We know they're broke. How can ours be worth less than theirs? And then you look at Russia and how can our dollar buy 80 rubles? That makes no sense. So again, it's what's the ruble worth? So we looked at gold in rubles. I showed Nick or Luke that, and it was 275,000 rubles was an ounce of gold, but in FX it's still 3,400. What can you buy in Russia with 275,000 rubles? Not a lot, because their dollar isn't worth anything. So it all comes back to what are you selling Coke for, and what do I have to buy it? And that's really what the question is. How much do I need? Is this market worth? So my dollar's worth what to buy this? And that's really the whole point. All these different currencies are all worthless because none of them are backed by gold, but they're starting to be backed by gold. That's what BRICS is doing. And I love when people say, well, BRICS isn't really anything. Yeah, there's 44 countries in it now. And there's probably another 50 that are going to join because they all want the gold-backed system because nobody trusts the U.S. and certainly nobody trusts Russia and China. The only thing they're going to trust is gold. Everybody trusts gold. And that's the difference. And that's where the demand comes in. Everybody trusts gold. That's why this card here, I maybe can get 1,000 for it because nobody trusts the condition. So you don't know what the condition is. It looks gem mint. It's centered. The corners are sharp. The picture's there. The back doesn't have the stamp on it. Looks like a pretty fucking good card, but there's risk. Now, if I get it graded and it comes back PSA 10, I'm sitting on 500,000 here because the risk is gone. I know I can trust the value of the card, and I know it's very limited. If it's a 10, there can't be a lot of it. So a lot of money going after a very limited card. That's why you get it graded, is it takes the risk out of it. So if I'm a buyer, I go, oh, this is great. I know it's a 10. I know there's not a lot of them, and I will pay more because I'm buying something that maybe there's 25 of or 50 of. And that's what the risk is. So in gold, it's going to be 999, but the risk in the dollar is terrible. The risk in Bitcoin is terrible because it's not even real. And this is where, yes, this is where people are really, they're all following the communist guide for Bitcoin. Oh, Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million. Where are you getting that from? Based on what? You're telling me the demand for the Bitcoin, if you can actually see what it looks like, is more than 17 million, or the fact nobody sells it? Well, if nobody sells it, why did it go from 111 to 104? Why did the price go down? Obviously, demand went down, demand sold. We have no idea. It's all bullshit. But that's the problem with it. And people they want the quick buck. Well, I bought it for 10,000 and now it's at 100,000. Why aren't you selling it? Oh, I think it'll keep going up. Well, why don't you take your profit? That's why I talk about gambling here. Why, if you're at the roulette wheel and it's just hit red 10 times in a row, it's not going to keep hitting red. You play it out, but then when it finally goes black, you take your money and you go cash out. You found your streak, you hit it, you made money on it, you get the hell out. That's why you cash out at the casino, because the longer you play, you're going to lose. It's the same thing with everything. Stocks, the longer you play, you're going to lose. Bitcoin, it can't keep going up because, again, it's priced in dollars, just like your house. So when the dollar goes up, Bitcoin goes to zero. And the only way it'll have value is if people give gold for Bitcoin. And who is that stupid to do that? And don't kid yourself, gold will hit 100,000 once the boat is sinking. Once the Titanic's 99% in the water and the frenzy for the boats come, that's when you see gold go to the moon, because there's not enough gold. So the only way you can buy it is at a higher price. And that's kind of what you see in comex. It's now 3,400. Wait, it was 2,000. Well, that price wasn't really accurate. The 34 isn't really accurate. But again, the price at the end of the day is the value of what you can buy with it. So what's the price of bananas now? I mean, we're seeing everything priced in dollars that are worthless. So what's it going to be in gold? So grocery stores are going to have conversion. Heinz ketchup is now a mercury dime for Heinz ketchup, or a mercury nickel, whatever, if they have nickels. That'll be how they price things. And you'll walk in with your ounce of silver and they're going to give you change to buy it. The Appian way, that's what the Romans did. The Romans didn't have money. They had gold and silver coins, right? And you'd go, give me some meat, and give me chicken, and give me milk and eggs and whatever you ate in Rome. I don't know, but that's where it was. They had a lot of wheat, I know, from Egypt. But that's how they worked. They didn't have dollars. So that's how the grocery stores will have to go back to the Roman times, and we'll have gold and silver coins to buy meat and chicken and eggs. And they'll just have to come up with, change the price from 79 cents to, 50th of an ounce of silver. I don't know why people are buying like the junk silver, the dimes and quarters to use as money. Wherever you're using that, if you are using that, you can bring your ounce in, and the ounce you'll get change from. Kroger's will give you, three mercury dimes and some Kennedy halves if you use an ounce of silver to buy chocolate milk. They're going to have change for you
just like they do now. So that's really the key to it. So again, it's not what its value, it's not that it says it's $100 bill. The point is, what does the $100 bill buy? And I think that concept just goes over everybody's head. They still think, well, I have $100, like it's 1970. And what is your $100 worth? It's not what it's worth. What will it buy you? What is the value of your 100? Can I buy golf clubs with it? I know I can't buy a tennis racket. Luke's telling me there's $300 for tennis rackets. So I can't buy a tennis racket with $100, which is ridiculous because I'm sure weren't 100 back in the 70s. It was probably $20 for a tennis racket. But that just shows you the value of your 100 is not worth what it used to be, which is the inflation. So it's really that the money's been printed. It's not worth anything. When you go to the store, it buys what it buys. It's 100 buys you this. That's the value of your 100. Gold hits $10,000. What will gold buy you? Now, I'm pretty sure that gold will buy me a car. Because so let's say I like Camrys and I got one 24,000 in Monopoly money. So it took 24,000 of these to buy the Camry. But if I'm using gold, is the price 24,000? I think the price has to come down because of, if we follow logic here, the more you print, the less they're worth. The value of this dollar is worth a lot less. So it takes more dollars to buy the Camry. Hence the 24,000. So if we back it up in 71, I don't think they had Camrys, but a regular car, GM car, was 2,400 for a nice $2,400 car. And so that's where now it's 24,000. That's how much the dollars eroded. But if we go back, the ounce of gold, the car might only be 2,400 in gold, and the ounce will be 10,000. So you might not even need an ounce of gold to buy a car, because the price of the car is in this crap that's been printed to death, not in gold. And so this is where you can buy the house with 2 ounces of gold, because the value, and that's in Germany in 23, these houses that were like $100,000 were selling for $100. And so 5 ounces of gold back then at $20 an ounce would buy this real nice house worth $100,000. But notice the price of the $100,000 house went down to $100 in gold. So your prices of everything will drop in gold. First, they'll go to zero because there won't be any dollars, will have no value. And what will they be worth in gold? Now, the dollar can get, I don't know how much longer the dollar, I think they have to come out with USD number 2, which will be worth nothing. If you do CBDCs and they're backed by dollars, they're worth nothing off the bat. So again, the game is, well, what is my USD worth, or my CBDC, or what can I buy with it? Nothing. It's not going to save you from anything, because you're still going to be using crap. If it's paper or CBDCs, it's still crap. It still has no value. The stock market has to crash because everything's priced in phony USD. So Amazon is priced at, I don't know, $150 a share, goes to zero because there is no such thing as a dollar anymore. It's collapsed. Now, maybe we're at USD 2. Even at CBDCs, how do you value Amazon and Apple and everything? And you don't know what this is. You've got to figure out what the value of the CBDC is, or even the dollar. And that's why the value is based on what can I buy with it. That's how we figure the market out. What can I buy with this? At the end of the day, you get your paycheck. You're making $100,000. What can I buy with the $100,000? Now, we're kind of getting lucky is the companies are idiots, also run by idiots. So they aren't raising prices. And then
even when they can't raise them too much. So we're still in a world of bullshit dollars, but as we have gold and silver, we're way ahead because ours are worth a hell of a lot more than the dollar, and you can't print it. So it's sort of like this card. This is a 399 count Brady rookie. This is extremely limited, not 21 million worth. And so the value will hold because it's Brady, it's 399, it's very limited. But you're always limited, right? You're always what will it buy me? What is the value of it? And that's what you're always looking at, is the value. So don't forget that. And that's really the only way. So when gold hits 100,000, what's the value of that 100,000? So right now it's 30, 33. Well, we'll take another look. It's still 33.50, but it's not going down anymore. And silver's back up to 35.60. So we might get a 36 soon. Germany doubles down on Ukraine aid. Why? Why are they backing the Ukraine so much? China's silent attack on the U.S. Trump orders China to cancel exports, cut off as dollar sinks. So why isn't gold 4,000 today? So like Trump can order China to cancel export cutoff. Well, Trump can't order China to do anything. This is where I don't understand Trump. Why does he think he can order China to do anything? I wouldn't listen to him. What are you going to do? Tariff me? We don't give a shit. We're using gold now. I like this guy, Thomas Sowell. So evil agenda. They think we are fools. Exactly. Well, the idiots and the communists in the hot tubs are the one who buy it. So if Bernie Sanders were to talk about this, the guy I look at it and tell him and say he's a communist. I don't care what he says. The guy in the hot tub looks at him and he says this shit and they believe him. And that's really the problem, is the people don't know what's real and what's not. Like I said, if somebody says today's Sunday, this guy in the hot tub would think it's Sunday. And then, and then what? So it's Sunday. No, it's Thursday, and they would believe it. And this is the problem. Here's something. China's new alliance. China's new alliance. Why does it do that? China's new alliance. Trump shut out. China 25 trillion alliance is bigger than whatever. So it's with Saudi Arabia and I don't know who the other one is. I don't understand like this middle class crap. The quiet war in the middle class. You can't get rid of the middle class. You still need people in my skill set who make 100 grand a year. You still need them. I don't know, but after gold and silver hit the roof, I won't be middle class anymore. So I get out of the war by buying gold and silver and watching it go up. But again, what will it buy? So I hate this talk of middle class. Trump refuses air cover for Europe's Ukraine mission. No U.S. air cover for Europe. Europe scrambles as Trump pulls the plug. So Trump's not going to help the rest of these idiots. They're all idiots. They're all Keynesians. And this is the problem with the war. With the world, they don't understand anything. We'll have to watch this one. From our good doctor, this nut is slowly killing you. It looks like it's a cashew. Seniors, I'm begging you to stop eating these 5 nuts, so I'll have to watch that for us. Let's see if I have any light. Now, just more the war in Russia, which Russia's winning 73-0. And in case you missed it, so there were these drones that went on to Russia from they actually drove trucks to different areas in Russia. And then through the satellite, they opened the lid of the truck, and there was a drone in there, and the drone went up and fired on some airplanes, I guess. And Putin knows the U.S., MI6, and the CIA were in on it or planned it. There's no way Ukraine's planning it. They're not smart enough. So with that, now the fear is Putin retaliating. It's sort of like a football game where North Texas State beats Alabama, and the next year they're going to play them. Alabama's going to kill them, and that's what you have here. You have these groups going in, attacking Russia, and that's a no-no. You can't attack the bully because he's going to lay into you because he's got nukes and he's got all the money and equipment, and they got all the radar, and they know where you are, and you're fucked. You got to be smart. It's like I didn't pick a fight with this idiot communist in the hot tub. I talked my way through it, but I would not fight him. I mean, this other guy wanted to fight him. I'm like, you don't want to fight him. He was a pretty big guy, nothing in the head, but he was a pretty big guy. And so you never go for the fight. You just use your head. So anyway, so Putin's going to retaliate, and it's going to be not going to be good. Jenna yesterday morning said that they had attacked, she's in Odessa now, in the Ukraine, the seaport on the Black Sea. I showed you pictures of that yesterday. She said there was an attack at 4 a.m. in the morning. And I think that attack was by the Ukrainians, not the Russians, because it's more of a Russian city. And the Russians don't want to attack their own city. So I think the Ukrainians did it. So the Ukrainians are shooting at their own people. Par for the course. So I don't know what's going on with this war. It just seems like what I can gather logically is that the West is trying to bankrupt Russia because the wars are expensive to keep fighting and keep with. Well, the military is there, but you got to keep with. I got to buy new planes and tanks, and as you use bombs, you got to use new bombs, so that costs money. And so I think they're trying to bankrupt Russia, but Russia's fine. They got 25,000 tons of gold. They're not going anywhere. That's why China's not bankrupt. They're bankrupt in the yuan, but they got 60,000 tons of gold. They're not going anywhere. And that's why we don't have any gold. We are going anywhere. We're going to get. So you have the war. You have Trump and China is destroying Trump. Trump's not a very smart guy. He doesn't understand his opponent, and he's not good at analytics and figuring out things, problem solving. He's just trying to blindly do it without knowing what she's doing, what China's going to do. You got to work with them. You don't dictate to them. You can't dictate to a dictator in China. They are communists, so you're not going to do anything with them. That was the other point. The guy kept thinking the Democrat, where communist works is in Sweden and Denmark and Holland, and I'm going, they're not socialists, they're capitalists. Well, you got the best healthcare, and that's socialist. I go,
It's paid for by the capitalism of the businesses. And then you do have the welfare, but it's not socialism because you have free Medicare. And then how free is it really? Uh, they still had to um, they had to have the economy to pay for the Medicare or the medical. So again, you're trying to tell the guy, no, those countries are capitalist, and it works. Look how successful they are. And that's the problem, trying to have a discussion with an idiot, because he can't back anything he says, and it's just what he heard, and it's not logical. No, those countries are capitalist. We're more socialist than they are because we're giving all the handouts out. But socialism is strictly, and he doesn't even know the difference. Capitalism is free market. The markets dictate everything, what the prices are going to be, what you're going to get paid to get hired. Everything is determined by the market. And we're losing that. It's getting more and more communist here, but there's enough capitalism to do it. But that's why there's too many government jobs. That's the socialist. We don't need those. Those are all socialism or communism, bigger government. And so again, you argue with the guy, and but look at China's going broke. They're communist. They had a capitalistic economy, and it's more communistic now, and that's why they're going broke. So again, trying to have a discussion with the guy. It's like I have both hands tied behind my back, and I'm trying to talk to a guy who thinks it's Sunday. How do you have a conversation with them? So normally I don't have these conversations, and it really didn't start off with it. Then something led to capitalism and socialism, and then I say, well, socialism's bad, and he thought Reagan. How do you think Reagan was a bad president? What was bad that he did? So was Jimmy Carter a better president who put us in the mess we're in? Or Richard Nixon? Anyway, so these countries are capitalist. Sweden, Denmark, Holland, the other, Norway, Finland. They were socialist. They were going broke. They went to capitalism, and now they're recovering. And but that's the trigger. Oh, we'll be like Sweden. Okay, I wish we were. They're capitalist, and people just don't get it, and it's just very frustrating. So that's what so China is laughing at Trump. Trump wants to do tariffs. Trump bullies everybody with these tariffs, and he's just driving them all into BRICS. They're going, well, the way we won't deal with America is we'll join BRICS and we'll use gold. And that's what they're doing. And they join BRICS, and then nobody uses the dollar there. They all trade amongst themselves. China makes most things, and the rest of the countries like India buy it, and Russia needs to buy stuff. I think Hungary's joining BRICS. I think France was thinking about it or something. So these countries, you can the boat's sinking on the U.S. side, so you either stay on the boat or you get the hell off and you join BRICS. And most of these countries are running to BRICS. Like I said, there's 44 countries in it, so it went from 5 to 10 to 20 to 44, and it'll go to 100. Basically, all these littler countries will join, and it'll be a bankrupt Italy, a bankrupt France, a bankrupt Germany, a bankrupt Britain, a bankrupt Canada, and a bankrupt U.S. against these. And again, we might be the biggest consumers because we're capitalist systems, but nobody wants this, which is the key, is people wanting the dollar. Nobody will want it. Well, Russia can't even use it, and China is getting sanctioned to death. Their companies have to go out of business because they can't raise their prices 140 40% and try to sell any. You're going over market, right? So if the market's here, these tariffs push your cost to here, which pushes your price to there. The market's here. You can't do it. You have to keep your selling price here. So if your costs go up, this can't go up. So that means you're laying off people and finding ways to cut costs. Or you're saying, well, instead of coming from China, it'll come from a country with a smaller tariff, like the UK. But Trump, I think, is focused on the 37 trillion. I think he thought he'd have the gold to pay it off, and then he realizes there's no gold before it knocks, and he's fucked. And basically, these tariffs aren't going to work. If we get a tax break, that's smart because, again, you make your money, and it either stays in your pocket or goes to the government. And the government's not as efficient spending as you are. So you want the best way for an economy to run is keep the money in the people's hands. We will buy, we will shop. The one thing that they get wrong is we don't save. We save, but it's in a 401k. Everybody saves in their 401k. Or if I buy gold and silver, well, that's not in my savings. So when Alligator or Mark McGuire's, the Americans don't save, they don't get it. No, we don't put our money in the bank. We either put our money in stocks or it's in our 401k, or people like us are smart enough to buy gold and silver. None of it's going to show as savings, yet we are, all of us, saving a lot. Most of the people are in 401ks, though, and they're getting fucked because they can't get out of it. So my advice is, if you can't get out of it, I don't know what to tell you. There's got to be, without quitting your job. I mean, I know if you've been there 20, 30 years, you don't want to quit your job, but you might be better off stopping it and then taking that money and buying gold and silver. So that would be my suggestion is cutting it down, go zero. I don't want anything taken out. And then you get extra money in your paycheck now and you go buy gold and silver with it. That's what should be needed. But that's your savings. Gold and silver is your retirement, your life insurance, everything. Because life insurance, you don't get paid till you die, and you don't get it. The family gets it. So how is that different from gold and silver? You'll get more in gold and silver than you would in life insurance, because again, that's dollars. So you're not going to get anything. That's the big scam now. I love these football players, $50 million contracts. It's worthless. It's not worth anything. What can you buy with the $50 million? And not that much. Probably what you could have bought with the $10 million contracts in the 90s, like Bobby's contract. Anyway, so you have the U.S. with the stupid tariffs. We're going bankrupt. We are bankrupt. It's just, it's basically all over. It's basically just ridiculous. The gold and silver. So we've got that. That's our out. That's our ace in the hole. We'll be fine. And everything will just get priced in gold and silver, and off it goes. Anything else? I don't know. Any other questions, comments? Let me read baseball again today. Atlanta over 9. KC under 8.5, 2 units. Detroit, 2 units. Toronto, Minnesota over 10. Seattle, San Diego under 7.5, 2 units. The Mets, 2 units. Houston, Washington, the Yankees, 2 units. Max Fried. Tampa Bay under 9, and St. Louis. And tonight, I think we're going to go with the over in the Indiana and OKC game. It's on regular TV, so I can actually see what OKC looks like, because I have no idea any player. They have the MVP on the team. I've never heard of him, so I don't know what's going on. Atlanta over 9 is already there. Well, there you go. Well, they both can hit, but there you go. So we're off to a good start. there's logic to my moves. Football, I've been starting to do college football. So what I've done with college is I'll start writing in like here, Iowa State, Kansas State, the grade, and then this is my defense of last year, only for note. So Iowa State had a 21 defense. They always have a good one. Kansas State with the 29 defense. They usually have a good one. Now, it's just a kind of suggestion. Again, I can't use it, but I know these are defensive calls. Iowa State, love the coach, usually a strong defensive team. So the total of 40, I then have to see who my quarterback is. Is he the same or different? I think it's Avery for Kansas State and Rocco Brock for Iowa State. So they should be returning quarterbacks. However, with the NIL, did either quarterback switch and go to a different school? That's the hard part of college football now. So I understand the quarterback, but now if he switches teams like Googlia Booglia did or Cam Ward is not that good. And then, so now he goes to Tennessee. So they can, these are the people that drafted Will Levis. So, I got to question that. At least they're smart enough to realize Will Levis sucks. Had they listened to me back then, they would have drafted him. I got to do my draft videos. So I just have one. So you can see me say, Caleb sucks. And Jason and Daniels and Penix are the best two in the draft. All right. Anything else? So that's about it. So economics, BRICS with the gold, July 17th in Brazil. Comex with Basel III starts July 1st. And I think as you're seeing, they're revving up to buy now to cover, because I think once that hits, they have to cover. And once they have to cover, it's going to be a lot more expensive. So again, if there's more demand than there is supply, the price goes up. And that's what you got. As all these countries' money is worthless, they will bang into dollars. And as they figure the US dollar is worthless and they sell their stocks, guess what they're going to buy? Gold and silver. They can't buy, there's no German stock exchange that's worth it. There is no real China stock exchange or Japan stock. There are, but nobody trusts them. So everybody went into the U.S. as I trust the U.S. And now you can't trust the U.S. anymore. Your only alternative is gold. Are you really going to put 110,000 into Bitcoin? I think it's just priced too high. Back when it was a couple thousand and people bought it, it was a little, I'll put 10 grand in and risk it. But now is that. And again, you can't really look back. All you can do is if you bought it and you sold it, okay, great. If you didn't buy it, the game's in the fourth inning. Just wait. At the end of the day, gold will be worth more than the Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's backed by dollars and gold isn't. Gold does not need to be priced at $3,400. It can be priced in gold, and that would be the price of it. All right. So anyway, football I've shown you. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Mikey Keene is on Michigan, as I found out. So I don't know what Fresno State's using as quarterback, which is why I need my Gray Sports Almanac to see the new moves for the football. All right. Anything else? I'll be working on that. I have updated my baseball stats, basketball. I have no idea. We'll see the new teams. And that's about it. So enjoy. Let's last crack look at gold and silver. Gold 33.52 and silver 35.66. Somebody thought it was 100-1, but it's not for the first time, it's in the 90s now. 35.66 would be 100%. It's 33.52. So it's a nice day for silver. We got to keep it going. 35.66. We need to get this sucker to 37, 38, and then it'll be 100. And 33.52 for gold. It's still way up. It was 29.90 last week. I think it opened Monday or Sunday night at 29.90 something, 29.80. So we've had a nice week, 33.50. This should rise, but I don't see the U.S. rising it, but maybe later. I don't know if they're waiting for something at 2 o'clock. Oh, the Fed said that there's no inflation, it's 2%. That's my favorite one. Yeah, gold was 35 an ounce. It's now 33.60. Explain how that's 2%. And again, it's not year over year. Why people think inflation's year over year, it's insanity. And then what are they picking that is 2% when everything in the grocery store is up a lot more than 2%? What are you looking at? So they're just cherry picking. Let me see the ones that are 2%. Oh, these 5. Okay, these will be inflation's 2%. And then people just believe it. That's the part I don't understand is why you'd believe anything the government tells you. And if you don't, and you got to question, why is it year over year? That's all Keynesian bullshit. So that's why we know inflation is through the roof. It's thousands of a percent, but you can't even measure it in percent. It's money printing and it's worthless. So anyway, that's about it. Anything else? www.teaserking.com. I will talk to you tomorrow. Today's Thursday. We got Mark McGuire tomorrow. I think it's a regular class. No stupid guests, so that should be good. All right. Have a good day, everybody. Take care. Buy your silver now.